You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. It's getting to be that time with the college football season ending. It is a mock draft season as a lot of the draft pundits start turning their eye toward the draft and things like the Senior Bowl, the Combine, Pro Days, etc. They're right around the bend. Dane Brugler over at The Athletic has his first mock draft out. No surprise to anyone, he's got the Bears with the first pick overall from the Carolina Panthers, taking quarterback Caleb Williams from USC. The thing it's not in any way interesting that Caleb Williams is the number one pick there projected, because I think everyone sort of thinks that's where he will go. The fact that the number one pick there he's mocking to Chicago means the Justin Fields era in Chicago could be over, and that's something worth watching. He's got Marvin Harrison Jr. going 2 overall to the Arizona Cardinals. I think that's a consensus pick there with as the first receiver off the board. And then this is one that I think most people would understand as well. The New England Patriots at 3, taking Drake May out of North Carolina. We're all expecting that New England will take a quarterback to potentially be their franchise quarterback after really missing on Mac Jones. But is Bill Belichick going to be the guy to do it? We'll see. It gets really interesting when you get a little deeper in the top 10. Dane Brugler is projecting Malik Nabers number 6 overall. Number 6 overall, and the second receiver off the board after Marvin Harrison. He writes, over the past month, I think Nabers separated himself for several teams as wide receiver 2 in this draft. The only FBS pass catcher with 1,500 receiving yards in 2023, also leads the country with 34 receptions of 20-plus yards. The only other college receiver with that many explosive catches over the last 5 years, another LSU receiver, Jamar Chase, who had 34 in 2019. And keep in mind also, he didn't note this, but I did. Jamar Chase did that in 14 games. Nabers has matched that number so far in 12. So as great as Chase was, Nabers is actually outpacing the season Jamar Chase put up in 2019. Now, this is the one that you're going to equally celebrate and bemoan. With the 7th pick in the draft, Dane Brugler is projecting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to select LSU quarterback Jaden Daniels. The amazing part of this is that Jaden Daniels, in coming back for a 5th season and having the type of year he does, has clearly catapulted himself not only into round 1, but more and more you were seeing him projected into the top 10. There's a lot of pundits out there that see Shedeur Sanders as the 3rd best quarterback in this draft, but as Dion has already said, Shedeur is going back to school. We'll see if that's how it plays out. I have no reason not to believe him. It's not like he needs the money, but he's got the potential to go back to school and be the number 1 pick in the draft next year if he does, and that may be to Jaden's benefit. So I would hate to see Jaden Daniels end up in the NFC South. To see Jaden Daniels end up in a Tampa Bay Buccaneer uniform would be nauseating, especially with the glut of teams in round 1 that could spend a first-round pick on a quarterback. If Jaden lands up in the NFC South, it would be devastating. But for Jaden, for what it's worth, the projected slot value of the 7th overall pick is $25.2 million. For what it's worth, Malik Nabers at 6, the slot would be $28.2. So you're talking about 2 dudes that are set to be handsomely rewarded for the incredible seasons that they have had. And there's no reason to think that wouldn't be the case for Jaden in a deep quarterback draft class with so many teams in round 1, candidates to pull the trigger. It takes one to fall in love with him, and it might well be in the top 10, as a lot of projections are starting to come out. Jaden Daniels, number 7 to Tampa Bay. As for the New Orleans Saints, again, this is Dane Brugler's mock draft 1.0 over at The Athletic. He's got the Saints taking Keon Coleman. Now, he notes the Saints love to draft flashy new toys, and Coleman comes batteries included and fully assembled. There's a lot to like about this. First of all, Keon Coleman is an exceptional receiver. as we all saw firsthand in the opener with LSU against Florida State. He's from Opelousas, so he's a Louisiana guy who get to play for the home state team if that were to play out that way. And while I feel like the lead there from Dane Brugler is accurate, the Saints love to draft flashy new toys. And they took a receiver first with Chris Olave 2 years ago. Do you know the last time the Saints drafted a receiver that high before Olave? So they took Olave with their first pick in 2022, 2 years ago. You got to go back 4 years prior to that in 2018 when they took Traquan in round 3. Ugh. Prior to that, it was Michael Thomas in 2016 in round 2. And the last time the Saints, before Olave, used a number 1 pick on a receiver was Brandon Cooks back in 2014. So, yes, it feels right. And we've seen the Saints draft offensive players a lot, but not at the top of the draft. Typically, the Saints have invested the top of the draft in linemen, right? If it were Trevor Penning, Ryan Ramczyk, clearly we've seen it with the edge rushers. If it's Peyton Turner, this year Brian Brzee, back to Marcus Davenport, even Sheldon Rankins. I mean, you know the list. Eric McCoy, Cesar Ruiz. And the Saints have more so invested top picks on the line of scrimmage, which I endorse. It just feels like they've done it more with the shiny toys offensively, but it actually hasn't been the case, not at the top of the draft. And with Michael Thomas's future very much in doubt, pairing Chris Olave with a big-bodied receiver like Keon Coleman and then to have the flash of Rashid Shaheed, that would be a pretty impressive three-headed monster if you could get it. And I wouldn't hate it. Now, I really want the Saints to use a first-round pick on a quarterback, but as we've said here, they've done it once in 56 years. There's no reason to think they will, especially with the capital they've invested in Derek Carr. They are pot committed to him. That's apparent. But if you're not going to draft a quarterback because you're trying to maximize your return on Derek Carr, then give Derek Carr everything he needs to be successful, and a top-flight wide receiver would certainly fit the bill. Latest mock draft from Dane Brugler over at The Athletic. Malik Nabers, number 6 to the Giants. Jaden Daniels, number 7 to Tampa. As for the Saints, picking 12th overall, Keon Coleman, the receiver out of Florida State. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.